Live from WDTV studios, this is WDTV 5 News First at 5, keeping you connected.
But if you want one, you have to make sure you have several documents on hand if you go to the DMV. Let's walk over to the monitor here and show you what you need. There are 4 key things you have to have in order to get that gold star on your document, on your new driver's license. That'll be a real ID. First and foremost, you need to have a proof of identity. That includes a passport or a birth certificate.
Our Josh crew followed the story all day long and was in the courtroom today. Good evening, Josh.
Cynthia, good evening. If convicted, both men could serve life in prison. Neither the suspects nor the victim in this shooting actually lived at this WVU owned and operated apartment complex. 2 men from Fairmont accused of murdering a WVU sophomore. 21. Both men are held without bond until they see a circuit court judge. Their next court appearance is March 9th.
Thank you so much, Josh.
Live from WDTV studios, this is WDTV 5 News First at 5, keeping you connected.
Fairmont Regional Medical Center.
And we are proud. We are proud, right?
Scenes of tears and cheers tonight inside Fairmont Regional Medical Center. It was an emotional day for employees who are still coming to grips with the news their hospital is set to close.
It is a developing story we've been following all week. Within the last half hour, West Virginia Governor Jim Justice stepped out of a closed-door meeting there at Fairmont Regional. As we know, on Tuesday, those employees were told the hospital would close permanently within 60 days, and they would all lose their jobs. In that meeting, Governor Justice spoke with hospital administrators, local delegates, and hospital staff. He says he wants to help those afraid to lose their jobs, but that we shouldn't blame Electo Healthcare.
And they're deciding to leave, okay? We should be at least somewhat appreciative for the fact that they've been here for 6 years and everything, but at the same time, they're making a business decision. But here's my bottom line. I want to try to save the whole hospital. You know, I don't really, we've got to solve this in West Virginia, totally. Employees stood by today as the governor met with those local elected officials and hospital executives. For many of the employees, though, they're not as concerned with their jobs as they are their patients.
To see it just go away, I mean, it's like, it hurts me, it hurts my heart so bad, I mean.
Now on First at 5, Monongalia County Police warn of a phone scam where the caller disguises themselves as a police officer.
Plus, can any Democrat challenge President Trump for the White House? We speak live with our chief national political analyst, Greta Van Susteren.
Temperatures are in the 30s and they're going to drop even further into the teens. We'll have more details as First at 5 starts right now.
Good evening, I'm Samantha Ruff.
And I'm Josh Krupp. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Dustin County officials vote for insurance for costly cyber attacks.
WDTV's Rachel Ramsey shows us how the insurance will help officials if their data is at cyber risk. Good evening, Rachel.
Good evening, Josh, Cynthia. Officials say insurance will help keep costs down if the county's data faces an attack. Now, officials say the
school shut down around the region. How officials are dealing with the peak of the flu season.
City officials hear from residents on their views with potential funding for housing and community needs.
We got lucky dodging severe weather in our area, but what is in store for tonight? I'll tell you more on First at 5, which begins right now.
Good evening, I'm Josh Krupp.
And I'm Cynthia Hill. Thank you for joining us. First, we are in the peak of flu season.
Time for the first alert forecast, and a weird month of February is almost over. Meteorologist Adam Wright, leap years tomorrow, and then we get March, which means spring.
Absolutely. So it's about time we got all these snow showers moving out in our area, because outside right now, those temperatures are dropping into the lower 30s.
The United Way of Harrison County's annual fundraising campaign ends this week. A telethon underway now to help them cross the finish line. That's where we find WDTV's Josh Krupp, who is live there now. Josh, good evening.
Hey, Cynthia, good evening once again. $5,990. That's how much has been raised so far for the telethon here at Harrison County United Way. It's the United Way of Harrison County's telethon.
Live from WDTV studios, this is WDTV 5 News at 6, keeping you connected.
Now at 6, a rise in crime prompts Preston County's largest town to try to double their police force.
Plus, despite efforts to combat it, Marion County sees an increase in drug overdose numbers.
Today's weather has been something to enjoy, but what is on the way for tomorrow, if anything? I'll tell you more on 5 News at 6 p.m., which starts right now.
First, a developing story as the Marion County community prepares to lose their hospital. WDTV's Josh Krupp has followed this since we learned the news yesterday as the unanswered questions facing local leaders tonight.
Cynthia, 600 people will lose their jobs. Patients will have to travel some 30 extra minutes for treatment. But the biggest unanswered question being asked tonight, what happens next?
The final chapter in the more than 100-year history book for Fairmont's hospital. This letter, sent to employees yesterday, notified them they'll soon lose their jobs.
In addition to that letter, employees also got this, a list of question and answers regarding the hospital's closure process. One of those questions, am I guaranteed a job through the date of closure? The answer, not necessarily.
How do you plan your future when you lose your job? You know, how do you face the reality of I'm not going to have a paycheck anymore?
As employees brace for the fallout, local organizations like the United Way prepare to host job and resource fairs. In the meantime, they refer employees to their free 211 emergency hotline.
We can help them figure out what assistance they might need, who they can reach out to, who they can contact, and kind of what next steps might be for them.
The health department administrator also prepares for the next steps. He says his clinic can take on some of the roles the hospital played to the healthcare community. But if the hospital closes as expected, the consequences, he says, will be dire.
We simply can't allow the hospital to close. I think too much at stake. We will certainly see an increase in morbidity and mortality if we don't have a hospital.
Congressman David McKinley isn't optimistic there's a possibility the hospital stays open after fighting through the same process last year with other Electo-owned hospitals in Wheeling and East Ohio.
Don't think that this was just a false warning. I would take it as serious. They are going to close that. So in the meantime, how do we take care of the patients? What's our next step?
McKinley says his staff is in talks with Mon Health, WVU Medicine, and the governor's office to see what they can do to help patients and employees, all while small and rural hospitals across the country struggle to stay afloat.
What we're trying to figure out in Washington is how we can help out some of these smaller hospitals so that they can survive, that people in West Virginia get good quality health care that's accessible.
Mon Health and WVU Medicine executives say they are closely monitoring this situation to see how they can help. Mon Health recently announced it's expanding services to Technology Park along I-79.
A developing story, diabetics could save thousands of dollars because of a bill that passed the West Virginia House of Delegates today. The bill focuses on insurance coverage for diabetics. The bill would put a $25 cap on 30-day supplies of insulin regardless of how much or what kind is prescribed. The bill now heads to the Senate. A neighborhood crime alert now. State police search for a man wanted for stealing checks and cashing them at Walmart. The man pictured here is thought to have stolen the checks from the mail. He's seen here on 3 different occasions carting items at the Clarksburg Walmart after cashing those checks. Troopers say each check cashed was worth under $1,000 each. They say the crime started in mid-January. Anyone with information is asked to contact state police.
Beautiful day in Colleen Campbell. It is 6 o'clock and the sun is still up. I love that. It is February and we're only having longer sunny days like this as we continue to progress throughout the month.
Yeah, it's been a fabulous day. It kind of makes going over the middle of the week a little bit easier, right? So we have more sunshine on the way, but here's our current conditions. And Josh is right, that sun is setting later. Sunset time around 6:02, it's 6:03, so we're kind of in twilight mode right now where that sun begins to set, and that's when you get those pretty pastel colors in the sky, those little water droplets reflecting, and our eyes kind of see those beautiful colors. So 42 degrees, not too bad. Winds coming out from the west around 7 miles per hour. And it feels like 38 because we have those northerly winds, northwest winds really. Satellite radar here showing those northwest winds, keeping those clouds out of our way. We had a little bit of high cloud cover earlier today. That kind of packed its bags and moved on out. For the rest of the night here over in our area, Morgantown as well. It says Morgantown there at the top. Temperatures will be in the upper 30s around 7 p.m. an hour from now, and then after midnight dropping into those 20s.
Kingwood City officials hope to improve the city's safety with a bigger police presence.
WDTV's Rachel Ramsey shows us the efforts getting more patrols in town. Good evening, Rachel.
Josh, Cynthia, after a summer of troubles with only one officer on duty, Kingwood City officials worked to find a solution to the problem with more police. The police department has 2 officers now, then a 3rd officer starting in March. Kingwood officials have tried to work a plan out with state police, but could not because the town already had a police department. Officials hope the increase in officers will clean up the streets and keep the community safe.
We had issues last summer that we've, haven't had in the past. We had a lot of people roaming the streets. We had break-ins at the ball fields, break-in at the pool. We have, needles here, needles there.
Now, town leaders hope to have at least 5 officers by 2021 to keep that crime rate down.
5 officers, it's something to budget, it's something to keep an eye on, and we know you certainly will do that, Rachel Ramsey.
Thank you for that report.
Voicemail you think you left by a loved one may have been a big scam. That's according to a Better Business Bureau alert. The BBB warns scammers can now use voice cloning software. The tech mimics voice from audio samples. From there, scammers will create voicemail messages to convince you to send them money. The nonprofit says the scam may hit businesses first, but they don't expect it to stop there. Marion County overdose deaths increase. That's what the health department administrator told county commissioners today.
He says meth is more prominent in the county than other areas. This comes as more attention is placed on combating the opioid crisis only. He says the focus needs to be on the overall drug addiction.
And it's sad. I think we are making some successes, we're making progress, but until we have 0 deaths, then we will have achieved maybe some of our goals.
Among the overdose deaths in the county early this year, 2 babies who each lived for about an hour, born to addicted mothers without prenatal care.
Coming up, drowning victim Jamie Gray's body was found by kayakers, according to police. How the community helps the Gray family deal with the loss.
Plus, Morgantown loosens its marijuana possession penalties.